there, beautiful people. You're listening to Cast a Ripple by Carla Berger from Cape Town, South Africa. Hello friends, and welcome to a new episode of Cast a Ripple. Cast a Ripple and Be a Ripple is a space where I like to share what I like to call life-enhancing tools that absolutely everybody can use to better improve the quality of their day-to-day lives. So today I want to talk to you about boundaries. And now, believe me, this is something that I struggled with forever. I still struggle with it sometimes, but I feel like my grasp of the concept has been a lot better and more improved in the past 2 years. So boundaries is basically what you decide is good for you and what is not good for you. So it's kind of like rules that you put down for yourself in order to kind of regulate your emotions and your interactions and your thinking, your thoughts, in order to balance your energy. So too much of one thing can lead to too much energy for you. Too little of one thing can lead to too little energy for you. So you decide what boundaries you put down in order for you to live your best life. So boundaries can be loosely lumped into two categories. The first one is external, the second one is internal. So external boundaries are those that you put down in relation to other people. External boundaries affect other people. It's things that you do to kind of navigate relationships and the impact that those relationships have on you. So you might have a boundary, for instance, for there's a specific person that is it's a very energetic person. It's very booming, and their effect of their energy on you can be quite strenuous sometimes for you. It might make you feel stressed. It might make you feel exhausted. So there's boundaries that you put down for that specific relationship and that specific person in order for you not to feel so drained or stressed the whole time. Internal boundaries mostly affect you. It's more in relation to what you put down for yourself. So exercise boundaries or eating boundaries or whatever it is that you need to balance your own energy, that is internal boundaries. So Brené Brown says this thing that this really helped me to understand boundaries. She says that boundaries needs to be big, B-I-G. So the question that you need to ask yourself every time that you lay down a boundary, whether it is external or internal, is what boundary do I need in place for me to stay in my integrity while still making generous assumptions about you? And you can alter that if that's for external. For internal, it is what boundaries do I need to be put in place for my integrity to stay in place while making the most generous assumptions about me. So internal and external, big, works everywhere. So for instance, a big example for an external boundary would be, say for instance, there's this specific person or you yourself, you're kind of a people pleaser, so you allow people to shunt you around, and there's this one specific person. It might even be a spouse or a friend, someone very close to you that you come in contact with a lot, that always tells you what to do. And you always do what they want to do. But then if you always do what they want to do or what they want you to do, you don't feel integrated into yourself. You don't feel your own integrity is being respected, and you feel stressed or overwhelmed, or you start seeing them in a negative light. You make assumptions about them that's bad. You start thinking about them in a negative way. You are feeling angry towards them. You are feeling hurtful towards them. So that is bad boundaries. Like, you need to reassess the kind of boundaries that you need to put down for you to be able to still feel in your own integrity, and you want to feel that you can make generous assumptions about them. So if it's a person that always says something or always tells you what to do and you keep on doing what they're doing, you need to reassess that boundary. You need to decide what things are okay for you to do when they tell you, and what things you feel are fundamentally yours to decide. And you need to communicate this with this person. That's the most difficult part of the whole boundary setting thing, is communication. Because how can you communicate what you want if you are not even sure what it is that you want and need? So you need to start playing around with boundaries. Boundaries are not something that are set in stone. They are something that is in the present moment, and they might be changed over time. But in that moment, you need to communicate with that person what it is that you need them to know. So you can tell them, it's fine if you tell me what to eat or when to exercise, but I really don't like it when that you tell me what to dress in, or tell me how to act, or tell me how to feel. Those things are things that I need to decide for myself, and I need you to respect that boundary. And then your relationship will alter. You will start feeling more confident and more in your own integrity, and you will be able to make generous assumptions about the other person if they respect your boundaries. If they don't respect your boundaries, that which you've already now communicated with them, then that will lead to more friction. And then it becomes a matter of if you want to allow that person in your life anymore. Because if they don't respect your boundaries, then ultimately they don't respect you. But you need to communicate with them first, right? So you can't just leave. You need to communicate, and so that they can understand your feelings about it, because their perspective might be so much different from yours. They might be thinking that they need to do this for you. They're doing it out of love for you. They're not experiencing the frustration and the anger you are having internally. Okay, so communication is very, very important when it comes to boundaries. You need to communicate that to that person to make them understand that some things they are doing are not okay for you. Because remember, boundaries are what is okay for you and what is not okay for you, and you need to communicate this with the other person. So big. And then big boundaries for your own internal things might be things like I shouldn't have coffee after 3 p.m. in the afternoons, because then I can't sleep. So what boundaries do I need to put in place for me to be in my own integrity, to make generous assumptions about myself? If I drink coffee after 3 p.m. in the afternoons, and I keep on doing that, and I keep on losing sleep, I don't feel balanced anymore. I don't feel in my own integrity. I don't feel generous about myself, because I know coffee can't allow me to sleep that well but I'm still drinking it. So I'm being negative towards myself. Same with exercise. Like, I experience the whole exercising thing on a regular basis. So, I would set boundaries for myself, let's say 3 to 4 times a week. Exercising is good for me. I know it makes me feel good. It makes me feel in balance, in my integrity. And when I exercise, then I feel generous about myself. I'm like, yes, I did it. I feel good. I feel like I'm moving. I feel just energized. But when I'm not doing that, and I'm continuously not doing that, then I fall into a cycle where I'm like, it is so important for you to move. So boundaries can be broken or moved or readjusted. It's not something that is set in stone. For instance, again, the exercising thing, even though I would like to keep up a routine for exercising 3 to 4 times a week, some weeks it just doesn't work like that. And you need to be mindful of it, that you can give yourself a break. You can give yourself that space. And there might be actually a week where you're able to do that and still be generous about yourself. You are allowing yourself generously to be still in your integrity without exercising. But for me personally, that only lasts like a week or two, and then it degrades. Then I start to feel like I need to start moving again. So then I pick up those boundaries or rules again. So be mindful of the fact that boundaries can be flexible, boundaries can move, but big, B-I-G, boundaries, integrity, generous, is always a thing that you need to reprocess. Like, if you are allowing another person into your life more than you should, can you still be generous thinking about that person? If that is okay to allow them to do that for, say, over the holiday period, because that is when they need to do that, but you can still be generous towards them in that time, then that's fine. But be mindful of the fact that if you start to think negatively about that person, or it starts to irritate you, then it's not generous anymore, and you need to rethink the boundaries. So it's flexible. And there's this other thing that I want to discuss that I really struggled with. Primarily, I think it's because I am a people pleaser, so I just love making other people happy. I love making them feel loved. I love doing things that they want to do. I love it when they're happy, and that might be at my own expense. So I struggled with the boundaries thing because the boundaries are difficult for me because I love seeing people happy. Like, that's something that I love. So it's for me, right? So I tell myself that it's for me. But allowing myself to do that isn't helping me. Like, I feel diminished after allowing someone to do something to me, at the expense of my own balance, at the expense of my own integrity. And then, even though I tell myself that I still feel generous towards that person, actually there's a subconscious thing somewhere that's really, this is not okay. So for me, what really helped is, I'm going to bring up this book again, Conversations with God, the first book, as being selfish is really not selfish. Like, the entire concept of oneness, this entire concept that we're living in, this entire reality of law of attraction and oneness and this whole construct is made up of one. And it's everyone experiencing self in a different way. When you are being selfish in a good way, like you want to put up boundaries to be generous towards yourself and to others, being generous towards yourself is actually being generous to someone else, because you are all one. There's just one. Everyone is one. So even something that you perceive to be selfish is actually not selfish. It feeds directly into oneness. Anything that you do for yourself out of love towards yourself is for everyone else. It is for the higher good. It is for the higher purpose. So selfish is a bad word for me. Selfish is something that maybe someone does when they don't care about other people. But selfish can be something that someone like me that really loves pleasing people sees as a bad thing, when it's not necessarily a bad thing. Saying no because you really don't want to, you might feel it's at the expense of someone else. Like, if you don't go to this party, then that person will be sad. You really don't want to go. You're feeling bad and drained and exhausted. So you are going to make that other person happy. But it's at your expense. That's people pleasing, right? It's not something that's healthy for you. So you need to be in a place where you are able to say no to certain things, to distinguish what is okay and what is not okay for you specifically, and not feel that you're being selfish, not feel that it's a bad thing. Understanding that anything that you do for yourself, out of love for yourself, is not selfish. It is the opposite. You showing love to yourself, you taking care of yourself, is actually taking care of everyone else. And that's so important to realize. And it's something that is only starting to resonate with me now, because I feel so guilty when I do things for myself. And it's something that I'm working on. And I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with. So be mindful of that. Remember that you are the single most important person in your life, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it. And remember, when you give love to yourself, you're actually giving love to everyone else. But they say you can't pour out of an empty cup, right? Teal Swan has this important, or well, interesting cup and love analogy. You know, like you can't pour out of an empty cup. What do you call it? Analogy. Teal Swan is like, everyone is cups, but the cups can't tilt. So you can't pour into anyone else without actually overflowing. When your cup is so full that it overflows, then it can pour into other people. But the cup can't actually tilt. You need to be full and overflowing for you to be able to give and show genuine and unconditional love to other people. And that's why the cup is so important. The cup represents the boundaries you put up as well. You can't tilt. There needs to be boundaries to keep your love in so it overflows. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about boundaries. Be open-minded, be flexible, go with the flow, but don't let people walk out over you. Don't allow people to do whatever it is that they want to you. You are your own person. You set up your own rules. You are absolutely in control of your own experience. Don't worry so much about what other people think and what other people are going through. They are in control of themselves. You are in control of yourself. And again, be generous towards yourself. Be compassionate. Okay, my loves, that's all for today. Please subscribe to this channel. Follow me on be_a_ripple, be_a_ripple on Instagram. And check out my website for all the links to all of my content. I will chat to you guys again in a week's time. Oh, my love. Bye.